Hello everyone, I hope you're doing good. Let's see what we have for today. And again, we're going to discuss one of the most, again, it's an important theme that can be asked in your GS1 and 3 out there. And theme is nothing but what we call as a cyberbullying. So we are just at the brink of end for this series out there, mains enrichment program, because as you can see, the mains is just 20 days away out there. So probably it's going to be second last or third last class out there for mains enrichment. Today's theme is nothing but what we call as a cyberbullying. Called cyberbullying. It's nothing but a recent trend that's been there. It's nothing but a recent trend that's been there. I think all of you must have witnessed this in various social media platforms out there, be it Twitter or Instagram out there. Cyberbullying has been on a rise. Cyberbullying has been on a rise. Be it to women out there, to women's body shaming, all these stuff. Body shaming. All these stuff out there. All these stuff out there. To women, body shaming, to adolescents out there, body shaming. It's an important theme out there, body shaming to adolescents. You must have seen I think it's been on a rise right now, that's adolescent series that's been there on the Netflix. It's a perfectly crafted series out there. It's a must watch for everyone out there. How social media bullying can ruin someone's life out there, can put certain adolescents out there into a massive depression. That's to a clinical depression out there. So, adolescent. All these stuff has been going on in a social media out there. You must have seen this woman. This is certainly called a rebel kid out there. She said something. Again, I'm not defending her. Her content is the creepiest out there, sort of vulgar. She commented on something in a Samirana show out there, and that's too vulgar. But in response to that, she faced immense amount of rape threats. Out there. So the point is the digital battlefield, the confronting online abuse against women. Online spaces, particularly in India, are increasingly become hostile environment for women. Be it the pervasive issue of harassment, hate speech, digital threats using the experience, all these are impacting what we call as a woman dignity out there. Woman dignity out there. Woman dignity out there. Okay. All this has been impacting what we call as a woman dignity out there. The point is simple. Point is straightforward out there. That women are facing all these stuff out there. Compare this with what we call as a online stalking. There are no limitations when it comes to perverts. There are no number. I mean, you can't even calculate the number of perverts are there in a social media platform. Number of perverts in social media platform. Number of perverts in the social media platform that are simping, what we called in a social media language called simps. They continuously stalk women out there. Harass themselves, slide into their what we call as a DMs out there, direct messages. So it's a creepiest thing out there. And again, women feel uncomfortable in that. There are certain women who farm engage, who take the advantage of them, of these scenarios out there, and become what we call as a social media influencer. But again, it's a cheap thing out there. It's a cheap thing out there. There has been another targets, like there has been rape threats out there, which we have seen in the case of Rebel Kid, and there's another woman that recently blasted over the Pakistan out there, Sharmika, and something Bengali girl, and she also faced that rape threats and even a murder threats out there. So again, the situation is pathetic at this moment, especially when it comes to a cyberbullying out there. Another is defining the threat. What are the threats that we are facing? Hate speech, attacks that's been based on gender, being on identity and other protected characteristics offer inciting violence and discrimination. So hate speech has been there, and especially when it comes to India, where the Hindu-Muslim conflict is on rise, where the Hindu-Muslim conflict is on rise. Hate speech are nothing new. Hate speeches are nothing new. They have been there, but at this moment it's on a higher. Especially when you compare this, especially when you compare the hate speeches that's been there in the current era, it's been on a high because the social fabric is weak. Because social fabric is weak. Social fabric is weak out there. Social fabric is weak out there. Okay. Now another thing is, why social fabric is weak? Because of again politics out there, the rise of right wings out there. All these stuff has inflicted our economy and our society. As a result, the feeling of fraternity has been vanished in the recent times out there. When you compare the prevalence and scale, Amnesty 2021 report says that 20% of Indian women experience online harassment. Cyber crimes against a woman surged by 36%. That's again a stat that you can quote in your essay examination, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, all across your GS examination out there, and even in your optional if you're coming from a humanities background out there. So there has been rise of sexual harassments. There has been a rise of what we call a hate speech out there against the woman. Now, coming to what we call as a trolling out there. So body shaming is another sort of is the most prevalent among Indians out there. So trolling hoti hai on the basis of what? On the basis of color. Tu kala hai, you must have seen. On the basis of what we call as a figure out there, you're fat, or any other look. The point is, this trolling might impact someone very significantly. Might impact someone very significantly. Might impact someone extremely significantly. Might put certain amount of persons who are very weak-hearted into what we call as a clinical depression out there. Okay, just because of body shaming, and even you can see that it, not body shaming, but there has been a concept called a Snapchat dysmorphia. Called Snapchat dysmorphia. Out there. That's called a Snapchat dysmorphia. So see, as it's a validation game out there in social media. You want followers, you want likes, you want everything out there. You want to become a social media influencer because it's been paying good at this moment. But it's been putting a lot of pressure on young kids out there. So if a certain good looking woman or a good looking man out there put their post or pics out their gallery in a social media platform, it certainly raises concern for these people, because what happens, they compare themselves with that personality out there. As a result, they start disgracing about themselves. They start saying, oh, I don't look, possibly I don't have that sort of personality that can be liked or validated by the social media audience out there. As a result, this leads to what we call as self-hate, leads to the emergence of self-hate out there. Self-hate. They start hating themselves. Out there. Now the point is, when they start hating about themselves, it has certainly increases the demand of what we call the cosmetic industries. Increases demand of cosmetic industry out there. Increases the demand of cosmetic industry out there. Increases the demand of cosmetic industry out there. Again, it has boosted, or what we get, boosted the demand of cosmetic industry, especially when it comes to USA, United States of America. Every second person wants to indulge themselves into what we call as a cosmetic industry or cosmetic surgery out there, in order to look good, in order to get those validation, those likes, those followers that's been there in the social media platform. I hope you can understand this and you can relate with this. Okay. So that's the one thing out there. The point is deliberately provocative to elicit strong emotion responses from individuals or group. Trolling. Of course, there has been a trolling to very famous people out there, like Virat Kohli out there. Whenever he fails to deliver out there, a lot of people troll him. Even MS Dhoni. The incident of MS Dhoni was that when he loses 2015 semi-final against Australia. Hello. I hope it's clear. The point is, trolling is one of the most important thing out there in the social media platform. You can even see that even Virat Kohli faced a certain amount of trolling when he failed to deliver. When you compare this with MS Dhoni, he also faced online trolling. Remember the 2015 World Cup when he loses against Australia in the semi-final, and I think his daughter just there was certain, she was born in 2015 or 16. She faced, a baby girl faced what we called as a rape threats on social media. Rape threats on social media. Rape threats on social media. The point is, you will say, okay, that's normal. No, that's not normal. It's been witnessed by the scholars as well. Whenever, of course, we witness what we call as a geo-revolution out there. Geo-revolution. Where the data becomes cheap. Where the data pack or internet becomes cheap source out there. Becomes a cheap commodity. Internet becomes a cheap commodity out there. So once it becomes a cheap commodity, I mean, it's obvious that it will be available. It will be available with a lot of people out there. Once there was a geo revolution, every second person has access to internet, has access to social media platforms. He can do whatever he want. He can type whatever he want. He can subscribe whatever he want. He can create n number of accounts in social media account, and even can what we call a simp on women or do online stalking. But the point is not this. Point is our country is still not mature enough. Our country is still not mature enough. Still not mature enough. Still not mature. Still not mature enough. Why it's not mature? Look at the crowd. The point is they don't have what we call as a digital literacy. They don't have the etiquettes out there. It's the masses that have access to these things, and masses don't have a sense of etiquettes out there. You can't expect a sort of sophistication and etiquettes from every other mass out there. That's why before maturity you get what is called as access to a geo revolution or access to data out there. That led to what we call the degradation of social media. Degradation led to what we call the degradation in the use of social media. Degradation in the use of social media. Okay, degradation in the use of social media out there. I hope that's completely fine with you. Okay. So ultimately, our population and democracy is still not mature enough to know how to handle social media with authority and with responsibility out there. They are using it carelessly, and they're using it for all utter nonsense out there, to promote certain thing, to abuse other people. Fan clubs has been formed. They always fight on social media. I mean, there is particularly no point in that. Absolutely useless. Again, there has been too much of simping. Perverts are being there. Cyberbullying has been there. Body shaming has been there. So all these stuffs are taking place. Again, one of the important things of social media is a time waste. Wastage of time, and time is money. Wastage of time. Wastage of time, and time is money. See, a lot of people scroll over things, what we call as the doom scrolling out there. They spend hours and hours on social media without doing any productive activity out there. That's nothing but what we call as a doom scrolling. As you can see, sir, if you're earning through a social media, well and good. That's your extra revenue stream out there. You spend a lot of time over that, you create content, that still makes sense. But if you're just a consumer out there, doom scrolling all day long, your watch time has increased, your screen time has been increased, and again, it ends up your productivity in a hamper. It hampers your productivity in a major criteria, I would say. So, wastage of time is been another negative that's been associated with the social media out there. And as you know, time is money. Wasting time over irrelevant reels, if you're not earning any through social media out there or doing any sort of brand dealing out there, it's a complete waste of time. I would say. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing. The spark, media controversy and the mob. Controversies around media content such as certain adolescent series often ignite online abuse. Public figures like Apurva become a primary targets for coordinated attacks due to perceived immoral or Western views. Now the point is, though I said that the rebel kid, she made some vulgar comments out there, she received death threats, rape threats all over the social media. But the point is, are we tolerant enough to accept someone's views? We are not defending here Rebel Kit or something. We are discussing a topic that's been relevant for the UPSC or essay examination. So point is, are we tolerant enough to accept everyone's views out there? Are we tolerant enough? Are we tolerant enough? The point is no, we are not. The point is no, we are not. See, as we can see, we want validation out there. We want a particular set of validation out there. We want everyone to be a yes man around us. We want a yes man around us. Look at the example of corporate out there. Managers want yes man. They don't want criticism over their own thoughts. They want a yes man persons who always says yes, 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 you are right, you're perfect. They want someone who praises them on a regular basis. We are not tolerant. If I present a certain amount of view, you can, but again, in trolling, there is not only a single member out there. Yes, there has been a number of people that troll you, and probably 1,000, 10,000 people directly troll you, share your views out there. It does impact certain people. Probably we don't have reach. That's why we are unaware about that. But look at the kind of pressure that these people face. The youth faces. There has been an ample amount of YouTubers and what we call as social media influencers who has publicly said that it does hamper your mental health. It does hamper your mental health. That's why we say, if certain person is troubling you over social media 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, let's 10. You can block that. But how can you deal with the people that's been there in the thousands? How can you do that? That's not an option. So are we tolerant enough? No, we are not. Because as a society, we want a yes person out there. We want a yes man person who always praises you, who always say, okay, you are saying perfectly out there. But the point is, we are far away what we call as a critical analysis. Critical analysis. You must have seen this online post. Someone is praising, or someone praises Modi out there, someone praises Rahul Gandhi out there, and the two continuously fight over Twitter out there. That's completely irrelevant. They speak vulgar language, abuse each other over the social media platform. That's completely irrelevant. I mean, no one cares. Neither Narendra Modi cares that, nor Rahul Gandhi cares that. So what's the point? The point is, we are not tolerant enough. We can't accept others' view out there. If someone's counter us, we reply back, defending our own statement. The point is, that's completely irrelevant. The point of the whole conversation is, if I present certain point, you present counter to that. Then I present counter to that in a very respectable manner. Conversation is to and fro. It's called a dialectical approach that's been given by Hegel. It's a dialectical approach. That's what is a conversation. Dialectical approach. Dialectical approach that's given by what we call as a Hegel. Hegel is nothing but what we call as a person who influenced Karl Marx, out there. So now question arises, are we tolerant enough? The point is no. At this moment, we are not tolerant enough. When in nation, Hindu-Muslim conflict is going on, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe versus general category is going on, people are discriminating based on color, body shaming each other, tolerance is nowhere visible. Out there. I hope that's completely fine with you. Now the point is freedom versus responsibility. Navigating speech online. Freedom versus responsibility out there. Freedom of speech. Article 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution grants freedom of speech, but it is not an absolute right. Though it's a fundamental right, but it's not an absolute right. That's why we have what we call a law against defamation out there. So if someone speaks bad about some other person out there, or if someone someone speaks ill about someone other person out there, they can claim that it had affected their goodwill out there in the public. And even Kejriwal did that. In past, Kejriwal did that. He filed a defamation against a certain person for speaking rubbish about himself. So rubbish about Kejriwal out there. So he filed a defamation case. Now the people claim that defamation is against the principle of freedom of speech. The point is, freedom of speech is not absolute. It's not absolute. It has been restricted. You need to what we called as a respect morals out there. You can't just take a mic and start abusing certain persons out there, especially those who have earned their name out there. If you come out to certain social media and start abusing Virat Kohli on a continuous basis, and if it comes to notice of the social media team of Virat Kohli out there, they can even file a defamation case against you. But again, that's a different thing. Virat Kohli doesn't care about who speaks for him, good or not. He's a legend out there. So that's how things work. The point is, it's not an absolute out there. Reasonable restrictions are being there when it comes to freedom of speech. Reasonable restrictions are there when it comes to freedom of speech. Article 19(2) allows for restrictions based on public order, decency and defamation. Public order, decency and defamation. That's why you must have seen that people hold themselves back. They play diplomatically. They don't directly attack someone else in the public platform, because it can result into what we call as a defamation. It can result into what we called as a defamation out there. I hope that's completely fine with you. Now the point is, hate speech versus dissent. Hate speech is different, dissent is different. So if certain persons say, okay, sir, UPSC, no. If a certain person claims economy is very easy, extremely easy, I put a dissent into it. I'll say, no, it's not easy. It's manageable if you read certain things. So I dissent that. I showed an disapproval regarding your comment out there. So the point is, dissent is very important. How will you criticize? If you can't criticize out there, how will you criticize the government out there? How will you ensure a proper accountability of the government? That's the main job. We are opposition. The only opposition sits in the parliament. They are not the only opposition out there. Even the public out there, they are the opposition. They have the complete authority to ask questions from the government, and that right has been given to the public through RTI Act, that is the Right to Information Act out there, to ask questions. I mean, if you will ask questions, you probably show a dissent. You will criticize government for its policies. For example, I show a criticism for the Nitin Gadkari out there. Hey, look, what kind of rubbish roads are there in the Noida? What kind of roads are there? There's a complete failure of the drainage system out there, a complete failure of the roads out there. What are you doing? I can criticize him, but again, I can't abuse Nitin Gadkari on a public platform out there. That's a difference. There's a very thin line between a dissent and a defamation. A very thin line. Thin line between dissent and defamation. Between dissent and defamation out there. I hope that's fine with you. Again, legal gaps. 66A IT Act and current legislative gaps, compliance effective online regulation. Though for online crime, there has been a 66A, and question has been directly asked in the GS2 paper out there. There has been a provisions out there, but again, the regulations and the compliance mechanism is not strong enough, because for cyber crimes you need cyber police, and again there has a lot to be done regarding the police. They are not educated to deal with the cyber crimes out there. The kind of training we give to these IPS people out there in the Hyderabad is not enough competent. They need certain reforms. Police reforms are the need of an hour in order to tackle what we called as a cyber crimes. I hope this is certain good discussion out there in order to broaden your perspective out there. So I hope you're getting the points out there. What kind of points you can use in your essay examination, your GS4 examination out there, or any other GS examination you'll write in the future out there. Okay. Okay. You can ask anything. You can, obviously, it's not a one-way communication out there. You have a chat box. You can tell what's your opinion, your personal experience out there in the social media platform, what you have observed, because it's a social issue out there. You don't need theories for that. You need a practical example. You can discuss about that. You can tell me about that. We're going to discuss upon that on holistic manner. Don't worry about that. You can share. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to judge you. Okay. The point is a societal scourge, normalization of abuse in India. Yeah, that's another issue. Why we are facing a lot of trolling out there? Why there has been so much of abuse in the social media platform? Why there has been what we called as a amplification of soft porn? Amplification of soft porn out there. The youth can, at this moment of time, can do anything in order to gain fame out there. They can do anything to gain fame. They want instant gratification. They are not there to build empire. They want immediate success. And for that, they can do anything. And you can see that in the form of amplification of soft porn. People are doing all sort of vulgar activities on social media platform. And again, people are watching that. People are watching that. That's the backlash. That's what we call a limitation of a society out there. It's not the problem with who is showing what. It's the problem with the people who are watching that. That's the major problem. The whole society, you can completely say, is that the society itself is a corrupt society. Society is corrupt. It's just similar to the example. We are not, my opinion is, if you make social media, then you okay with manipulate. ये तो manipulate कर दो, ये जो हो जाए for publicity, it's a social media job. Now the point is, Joseph, is that it's simply not, it's not a fault of a person who is showing what. It's similar to the drug problem. So if you say, okay, it's a problem of the drug problem completely depends on the drug cartel. They are producing that. No, the bloody problem is that why the people are consuming that. You can't target the producer out there. You can't target the producer out there. You need to target the consumers who are consuming this. So if a certain girl on a social media platform is showing you a vulgar dance, why are you watching that? Why are you watching that? That's no talent out there. That's a bloody cheap, vulgar thing out there. But why people are watching that? You have made a certain amount of people, the society, Indian society have made a certain amount of people with no talent, with no hook, with no education out there, extremely famous out there. Look at this social media influencers, what it's called, Elvish Yadav. Just give me a one sentence. What's his talent? What he do? But he's still famous out there just because he shows a bravado. He shows bravado on social media. What's the talent of this another thing? Again, there's rebel kid out there. Just because she abuses men out there on social media, which gives her too much of a ego satisfaction to other women out there. Or any other what we call as this Rajat Dalal. Again, a masculine man selling what we call as a bravado on social media. They don't possess a single talent out there. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. Yet they are rich. Earning in lakhs. You can't even do that with sort of education out there. If society is going in that way, trust me, in upcoming days or upcoming years, it won't be normal. It won't be normal. As we already have seen that there has been what we call as a normalization of abuse. Every other person is abusing other. Look at the Samir what he does. He do less comedy and more what we call abuse out there. So it's a normalization of abuse. We have taken that for granted. Oh, it's run like that. Go ahead with that. It's cool. It's cool among Gen Z. I am a Gen Z. I know it's a bloody cool thing out there to abuse someone out there. Abuse someone out there. No one takes offense of that. No one takes offense of that. That's a normalization. That's really the society is not going in any other platform. Trust me. We have adopted all the bad things of the West. We haven't adopted the good things of the West out there. Do we adopted the better universities? US is known for better universities out there. Harvard, Stanford. Do we have that kind of universities? No. They have a rich source of literature. Do we have a rich source of literature? Do we have good writers? No. We study international authors. Do we have a good jobs? No. They have a good jobs. They are the manufacturing hub. China, US, not India. Because the society wants, because the new age Gen Z wants to become a social media influencer, and people are ready to watch that. And people are ready to watch that. That's the problem with the society out there. That's the typical reason of that. Misogynistic attitudes or misogynistic attitudes prevalent offline in Indian society frequently migrate to online spaces. Okay? Victim blaming. Surveys indicate a high percentage of blame placed on women for online abuse. So people say, okay, she deserves a certain kind of abuse out there because she had done that. So are we tolerant? No, we are not. We are not. To hell with what women do, to hell with what others do in their personal life out there. Don't watch it, na? Don't watch it. Who says you to watch that reel? Does anyone force you to do that? Leave it. Don't subscribe to that. Don't follow that. They'll get eliminated. No one cares about that. Trust me, on the basis of talent, they won't even get a 25,000 job. But it's the Indian society that has made them what we call as a millionaire out there. That's how society runs. So again, women are being blamed for online abuse. Again, that's nothing but farm engagement out there. Everyone wants an engagement. They want social validation because no one is getting a social validation out there in the real life. People don't care about your personal life. Then you want to become relevant out there. You'll present yourself as someone who knows everything out there in a social media. There comes a problem. Now the people are started living. Normalization of abuse. There has been a normalization of a dual life out there. Normalization of dual life out there. People have started living a dual life. People have started living what we call as a dual life out there. What's a dual life? There's something else in the real world. Maybe a loser, but they want to present themselves as Napoleon out there. Or what we call as the winner of all worlds, Sikandar out there in social media. They are not. That's a fake bravado. That's a fake bravado out there. So I hope you get the perspective of this, how society is going on, how the society runs out there. I hope you're getting the perspective of this. Let's move on to the next slide. So what are the roots of this misogynistic comments that's been there on the social media? What are the roots of this? So it's nothing but media influence. One of this is right now, even if you see that, there's a certain person called Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate. An influencer who considers women as an object, a sex object out there. And a lot of people follow him. A lot of people. He's been a great influencer in terms of followers. People see this. People ingrained his idea into their own life and present what we call the misogynist comments out there. Misogynist comments. Because they are being influenced by someone who treat women as an object out there in the social media influences, deep-seated biases. See, early socialization is already very important out there. It's a socialization that forms your basis. So if someone sees that their father is being not treating their wives or their mothers in a well manner out there, or if there has been what we call as a household abuse, or there has been a certain what we call as a dowry case out there, then they'll see that, okay, this is how we treat women out there. They are nothing but subordinate to the men out there. That's called a socialization. Socialization has its own impact. A well-groomed person is the one who have a better childhood. If you are behaving well-mannered in a society, if you know how to respect women, if you know how to respect elders out there, that clearly shows that you have a well-maintained upbringing. You have a great upbringing, you have a great childhood, you have decent parents out there who have taught you how to behave in a society, and that needed in a society. Because the point is, will you say that, okay, children are losers, they don't know, Gen Zs are this and that and what? I would say the kind of behavior that we are witnessing in this moment, it's nothing but a byproduct of a failed parenting. It's a byproduct of what we call as a failed parenting. It's a byproduct of failed parenting. I mean, it's a responsibility of parent to show what's right and what's wrong. It's a responsibility of a parent to consider, to look after the well-being of their child, to help them, to teach them that, okay, this is right, this is wrong, this is how you treat certain people out there. You treat them, you just give them a lecture. Oh, abuse is not a fine out there. Abuse is not a good thing. Just be normal, be mature enough. But again, it's a failed parenting. Again, that rebel kid, and there's Shavika, I think, I forget his name. She recently posts certain vulgar comments about the Islam out there. That typically shows they are not the problem. The problem is parenting out there. It's a failed parenting. They are the byproducts of that. How can someone become so insensitive towards other? We are losing the human touch out there. That's a reflection. See, social media is an illusion. I agree. Social media is all fake. I agree. But social media is also one of the mirrors that shows the reflection of a society, how society runs. You are something different on a social media, you're something different on real life. You treat women with respect when you meet them physically or personally out there. At the same time, you abuse them when you come to the online out there, because there has been a keyboard associated with your computer. So that's how things works. The extreme edge, rape threats and the impact. Again, it's been impacting women. Women have come out in the open. They have revealed that, okay, we have faced a psychological trauma with this. There has been a chilling effect. Such extreme abuse silences women, stifling their free expression, especially for activists and public figures. See, rape itself is a very heinous crime out there. And when you post on a regular basis on someone's personal ID out there, it does impact their mental health, that's for sure. So these are certain extremes that's been there. Okay. At last, what we need towards a safer digital space solution and call to action, what is the need of an hour? The need of an hour is strengthen law enforcement. Strengthen law enforcement out there. Ensure timely FIRs. We need cyber police. We need a police reforms. Cyber police out there. We need cyber police to catch those idiots that's been doing all this rubbish things on social media. Again, we need a content moderation system. We need to classify, we need to regulate the content out there. Is it safe for the children out there? Is it not? For example, there has been a Netflix and it's been showing all sort of content. Can't we regulate that? In India? Okay, yeah, this is not superior. Or there has been, Netflix won't take any sort of responsibility because it's a capitalist system out there. They want to earn maximum profit out of that. But it's a responsibility of government to filter what sort of content need to be shown in India and what sort to be eliminated out there. And again, role of parenting can't be eliminated. Can't be eliminated. Societal shift, challenge and dismantle misogynistic norms offline to foster positive online behavior. There has been a clear digital literacy. We need to promote what digital literacy is. We need to create a safer sort of cushion out there for our youths out there, because they have been struggling. There has been two extremes of it. There's a one youth that's been abusing online. There's a one youth who has been on a receiver ends of that abuse. This leads to what we call identity crisis. This leads to what called identity crisis, and this is what it leads to depression or suicidal tendencies, because they are facing that. So we need to create greater policies out there. Even regular sessions of parents should be held on a regular basis. Regular sessions for parents, in order to upgrade them, in order to upgrade those parents about what is called parenting. So I hope this lecture was something, an eye opener for you. You enjoyed this sort of discussion out there. I hope it broadens your horizon out there, broadens your thought process. You might think all these other aspects as well and can use these information in your essay examination. So thanks for coming. Thank you.